This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA is back in action tonight after the All-Star break. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Lakers return to the court Friday night against the Clippers at Crypto.com. Interesting point of the season for the Clippers. A lot of eyes will be on them to see if they can remain a playoff contender after their 6-21 start. The Clippers were 3-1 going into the break and are 20-7 since December 18th. They're tied with Portland for 9th place in the Western Conference. The top 10 teams qualify for the playoffs. A lot of eyes will also be on Clippers star Kawhi Leonard. Can he stay healthy over the remaining 28 games in the regular season? In the last 7 games before the break, Kawhi was averaging 28.8 points. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked number 2 in the country, is going for their 20th straight win tonight. UCLA is at home against Washington. The Bruins are 25-1, 15-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I have some news. The room is full. Our founding members cohort on the art of conversation has begun, and I could not be more energized by the professionals who said yes to mastering the craft. Their dedication to curating great conversations reminds me why I do this work. Now, if you wanted to join us and did not make it in time, I want you to hear this. The next cohort is coming. I do not have the firm dates yet, but I do have a waiting list. And everyone on that list will receive early access and special discounts when enrollment opens. After almost 40 years of interviewing world leaders and cultural icons, I am teaching everything I know. Don't miss your chance to be in the next room. Go to TavishTalks.com and get on the waiting list right now. That's TavishTalks.com. The conversation continues. Will you be part of it?
Yeah, man.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's about to be on up in here, okay? She's definitely a fighter. She's a fighter for well-being. She's a distinguished professor of psychiatry and biobehavioral sciences, the director of the Center for Culture, Trauma, and Mental Health Disparities at UCLA School of Medicine, and an author, a clinical psychologist, a board-certified sex therapist, and she is a friend of this radio station and one of my favorite people to talk to on the microphone, Dr. Gail Wyatt. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Feeling good.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. You came with the eye of the tiger this morning. Is that what it takes for us to stay well in the environment we're in right now, that fighting spirit?
Yes, I think so. And many people don't want to seem like they can fight. They think that looks too aggressive, not feminine. Maybe it's going to get you in trouble because other people don't know how to appreciate a person who is strong and committed. It's that piece that I'm talking about. Dominique. It's that piece that says, I'm here. I feel good about who I am. God loves me. I have something to do, and get out of my way. That's all it says. That's the eye of the tiger. And don't hurt me.
Right. Well, you know what, Dr. Gail Wyatt, I was teasing you when you first came in about how popular you are on TikTok. I post your clips on TikTok and Instagram, and they go viral.
Wow.
And I think it's because you speak plainly. You're fearless in the way you talk about things, and people we appreciate that.
Well, I think things have to be said clearly so people understand. You're not pussyfooting around it. This is what it is, and it's hard to hear sometimes. I know that it is very painful. Sometimes you can't hear it at all. It's just too much. It takes time. But in time, you know that person who told you directly is probably the person you want to go back to when you can hear it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So it's okay by saying, I can't handle that right now. Let me hit you in a week.
Great point. So I called you because I said what I call the Epstein triggers needs to be talked about. As I've told you many times, I'm a survivor of sexual assault myself, and I find that hearing these stories constantly talked about, and especially the minimization of it, is very triggering for me. And I'm not quite sure how to process it. It's my job to read this stuff, and sometimes I just don't want to.
See?
But, and
you
that's...
can't handle it all the time.
I can't handle it all the time, no.
And that's okay. That's okay. You have to pace life. You can't just let it hit you in the face. That I'll take that piece today, tomorrow I'm going over there, that kind of thing. So you couldn't hear it. That's all right. You did get to it, though. And you invited me to speak about it.
Right.
That says a lot.
Well, it made me wonder, because I'll go take a walk or go do some yoga, have a nice cup of tea, then come back and read the article. But it made me wonder how are folks being triggered, and how are they realizing they're even being triggered, and how are we to process that?
And the saddest thing is we're not talking about this enough. This should be on all the daily programs. Some kind of way of monitoring, just how overwhelmed and frightened, that's the fear.
Yeah.
Frightened people are by hearing that you could actually talk about a phenomenon. This is a phenomena. It's so out in the open and so horrendous, and only talk about the people who perpetrated it, not say anything about the women and men, by the way. We always want to overlook the men. Who were the survivors? What must it be like for them to have to face somebody else's abuse every day? That triggers and makes you go back into your own,
So Dr. Wyatt, is it normal to feel triggered by this, even though it's in the news? I was never at Epstein's island. This purportedly has nothing to do with me. Right. Is it normal for us to be triggered by that?
Yes. It's triggered by you watching children spanked in school. It will trigger you to remember if you were spanked or just how you were disciplined. And it's not just in your memory. Your brain is wired to keep these memories. So, even when you don't want to think about it, your brain will say, but I've got a file on that, and I've opened it, so you better address it right now. So the body is amazing. We don't give it the credit that, it should get. It also will protect us and deny that happened because you just can't handle it, So that's when you go for the walk, or you do all kinds of things that help to protect you, to insulate you from the fear and the trauma that you experience and just don't want to think about it right now. Sometimes your body will tell you, I'm sleepy. I've got to rest. You're not sleepy. You just don't want to think about what you just heard or what you just saw. It's amazing. But if you do want to address it, and I hope people will feel safe enough to address it this morning, this hour, with us while we talk, you will find that the more you can get access to that trauma, the more you can go back to it, it gets smaller and smaller each time, Dominique. You become bigger than it.
What does access mean?
You think about it. You can actually see it. Sometimes you can smell it, taste it.
Right.
things that happened to you at the time all the senses were a part of that, and they can all come back to you. That's accessing.
And when we do that, we diminish the power of the trauma?
Yes. And if you have someone you can trust to talk about it with you, not distort it, not blame you, just listen to you. And the first thing they should say to you after you finish talking, particularly the first time you've ever told anyone, is, I am so sorry that this has happened to you. Because so many survivors never heard anybody acknowledge that this wasn't anything that needed to happen in life. This is not inevitable. It's something that has happened. It shouldn't happen. We can do more to stop these things from happening. And if we couldn't, to just let the survivor know, I am sorry.
So that's good information for those of us who are also hearing from people who are sexually assaulted or who are being triggered by what's happening, what's coming out in the news right now. Whenever those confessions or conversations come up, we start with, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and mean it.
And have you heard that at all in the media? Have you seen it or heard it?
No.
It's always, well, somebody's going to get hurt. Yeah, somebody already was. What an incredible thing to say, that somebody's going to get hurt if we look at the Epstein files. Yeah.
And people have been getting hurt for decades. Part of what makes it so creepy or ominous is the fact that it is happening at such a high level of power.
Yes.
And it's global, right? These are people.
Everywhere.
I mean, it kind of seems like the people running the world in a lot of, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. And then you're talking about children who have very little power, clout.
And they don't know how to say no, and they don't know how to say yes. And they're extremely vulnerable. Really gullible. You can tell a kid, and so many people have been told, this is just a game. You don't need to be afraid. Come on and play this game with me. Or let's wrestle. Let's do something that, you see kids do all the time. Well, what are you all upset about? And then slowly, that's part of the grooming, is a person getting you ready to actually assault you and to do something that maybe a little bit more severe, more aggressive, certainly more harmful and frightening.
Yeah. And so that power differential, I think, is something that a lot of us don't understand, because for years and years, Dr. Gail Wyatt, I've argued with people on this show, whether it's we're talking about R. Kelly or whoever we're talking about, that a child cannot consent.
That's right.
They say, well, why was she in the hotel room? Or why did she go to the studio? Or why did her parents take her there? Or why did his parents let him do that? He knew what he was doing. These kids know what they're doing. I hear that so much. Or why did they wait so long?
Yeah. I don't know why we need to adultify little people. Our brains, as I said, really powerful things, don't develop completely until about 25 years old. Isn't that something? Most of us, if we decide to be in relationships, have been in them. Maybe many of them. Maybe had kids. All sorts of things happen before age 25. Finished school. Decided on a career. And you realize, well, my brain really wasn't quite working. Look at adolescents. They're doing all kinds of things with those adult bodies and those childish minds, and getting blamed for it and punished for it when they should be treated for it. And relearning, how to think about your feelings, when the feelings are powerful when you're a teenager. But you're a kid, because your brain cannot process what exactly is happening. What are the consequences? Am I going to want to talk and think about this for the rest of my life? Those are the kinds of questions a person should be asking before you make a huge decision that may change your life.
Is there anything, okay, I'll ask this, and then you can address it when we come forward. Is there anything we can do to protect or inoculate the young people in our lives from from getting into these types of situations, which of course is every parent's nightmare? Dr. Gail Wyatt is here. I call this conversation the Epstein triggers. Are you triggered? Have you asked yourself? KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaped his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church. Getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
KBLA Talk 1580 thanks LA City Council members Curran D. Price Jr. and Heather Hutt for being the presenting sponsors at this year's Black History Month Luncheon. Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're KBLA Talk 1580.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And Dr. Gail Wyatt is here. I was just teasing her some more because, like I said, she's one of my favorite people to talk to, but also the internet loves you. The clips that I put up of you on TikTok go crazy. I've got one on Instagram, which has 300,000 likes. You've gone viral.
Wow. But it ties into your question. What are we going to do about this stuff?
That's the question.
Out there in the world?
And how do we process, right?
Well, just by the fact that people respond, to me, says people want facts. They want to know. They want to know about the body. They want to know about what they should be doing with their bodies. We don't. Why isn't that a point of? Why is that something that people are so resistant to
grown people. Grown
people.
adults. Yeah.
And then why do they sexualize it and criminalize it with porn and all kinds of things that make it look like your body is bad? And I know there's writings from history that say our bodies we shouldn't touch, and our bodies are bad, and women are sinful, and all this stuff out there. I don't believe them. I just don't think that we are intended to be ignorant of anything that can help us to live a safe, healthy, purposeful life.
Is there a way, Dr. Gail Wyatt, that we can inoculate our kids so that they would be more protected in if they were, exposed to an Epstein-like situation?
And they will be.
They will be.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah, and you can pay for it. Even summer camp. The greatest nest of predators and perpetrators known in this society. And we pay for that. But we don't know what they're doing for the 2 weeks or 10 days or weekend that they're there. And these are supposed to be camp counselors. Who vets those people? What do we know about those people? They're young. Usually, they're dancing and singing, and what else are they doing? And who sits their kid down on a regular basis to have a conversation about how was your day? Not just what did you learn in school? What did you do? Who did you talk to? Where did you guys go on the campus? Something I learned the most about my children by driving the carpool.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, whatever they said in the back seat, they thought I couldn't hear. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
And they get relaxed, and they're laughing amongst each other, and they're talking about people they like, people they don't, and this person did this and that. I could hardly hold the wheel. I wanted to turn around and say, what? But I wanted to hear most of all, because that gave me tips on maybe I should meet Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones, who's a parent or an uncle of the kid who's in the back seat with my kid, because I'm a little concerned about what I'm hearing there. I just want to check it out. We have to be so much more involved in our children's lives, and that comes at a time when we can barely manage our own life.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we cannot sacrifice them for the fact that we're overwhelmed. We just have to pace it out. Today, we're going to all go here, and we're going to have a camp of our own. And camping is a great way to get a kid to relax. They love being outside for the most part.
Yeah, most kids. Yeah. Not mine, but most kids.
but find what they want to do
right.
and do it with them.
Right.
But you hear me.
Yeah.
Do it with them.
Trust me, that's why I know every Pokemon.
Yeah, there you go.
But to your point, it sounds like the best way to protect them is by listening to them and knowing where they're at.
And then teaching
mentally.
Teaching them
what?
About their bodies. And I think in the conversations we've had, we've talked about this a lot. The first thing they need to know is that there are names for body parts. Can you imagine not knowing what your ear was called? Or your eye?
That'd be crazy, right?
How could you raise a person and never discuss, where their genitals are? What is it? A penis or a vagina or the labia or the lips, if you want to call it more commonly what people call them. The larger lips and the smaller. Why can't that be part of the conversation? If you say, "How am I doing?" and the kid says to you, "I'm itchy today." You say, "Where are you itching?" Find out where that is. You want to know where they are, because it may be something that you can help them with, but getting some kind of cream, or maybe somebody needs to give them an exam, and you need to find out. And you need to be in the waiting room, if not in the room with the doctor, looking at your child and seeing what's happening.
Yeah. Crazy, because there's a humorous trope that goes around the internet about how white people don't use washcloths and they just use they use soap in their hands, and we're grossed out by it.
I don't know why,
but I think you can use a washcloth and still be comfortable touching yourself and examining your own body, right? I feel like we need kind of a happy medium there.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, to start washing, number one. Not everybody feels obligated to do that, and it really is an important aspect, particularly the vagina has to be washed, and all between those little folds of skin, there could be all kinds of things hidden and tucked, and they could be there for days or weeks.
Gross,
Doc.
Doc.
I know, and it's so early. But what about the uncircumcised penis? Men don't realize that if you pull that foreskin back, there could be a treasure trove of all kinds of stuff around the penis. And then a woman or a partner, doesn't have to be a woman, if they are the recipient of that part, guess what they get in their body part? All that little treasure trove. So what I'm saying is it's extremely important that we raise children to understand how to clean themselves thoroughly. We can avoid a lot of diseases.
And if we knew the names for the ears and the vagina and all of our body parts, then if we were subjected to some kind of sexual assault, SA, as they like to call it on the internet, at least we would understand that that was what was happening and possibly feel comfortable talking about it.
Yes. Where did they touch you? What happened? Tell me what they did. Yes. And a little boy can say, someone touched my penis. You want to know. You can't say, well, someone touched me on my body. That's not anything to go on. You want to know exact. And then what happened? Who were they? What's their name? What did they do? How did you feel? What happened afterwards? Because sometimes kids will be told, don't tell anybody, or I'll give you a poor grade if it's, someone in authority who can actually control their grades, or I will claim that you arrested me. Because, if you're from a marginalized community or a person of color, if someone claims that you sexually abused them, then they're going to believe the person, not you. So there are just things in life that we need to be far more aggressive about. And it's amazing with the history that we have that we're not more on this issue,
Of course, you're referencing all of the endless sexual abuse, assault, and rape that happens during the period of enslavement and Jim Crow.
Daily, men and women at the whim of whomever. And we don't talk about it enough so that people really understand that we are a traumatized group of people. We're only 4 generations out of slavery. And that's amazing that we've done as well as we have. We could do better if we can heal from some of the stuff that's happened to us. Accept the fact that we need to be more sensitive and protective of each other so that we can be who we are supposed to be, not just victims, but truly survivors. We can be, but not everybody is at that stage.
Yeah. We're talking about the Epstein situation. Somebody, I can't remember, several people on social media are saying, it's the one time that the racism protected us because there were no black girls on Epstein Island. There were no black girls in Epstein's mansion. Doesn't mean that we don't relate, doesn't mean that we're not triggered by it. Right. We just have 20 seconds here until news, traffic, and sports. And so I think that's part of the reason I'm asking you about the age differential, about the power differential, about what constitutes consent and what doesn't, because I think part of the legacy of our enslavement that you're referencing is our tendency to blame ourselves and blame victims. So how do we get away from that and get to a more healthy, whole response? We'll get to that after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, calling him a friend, mentor, and role model.
As an organizer and at the time in which I was campaigning, I could always count on him for advice, prayers, and words of encouragement.
Johnson told the city council the best way to honor Jackson's legacy is by organizing and investing in Chicago's communities. Funeral arrangements are pending for Dr. Norman Francis, the longtime Xavier University president who died Wednesday at 94. Francis led the nation's only historically black Catholic university for nearly 50 years, expanding its role in medical education. New Orleans Mayor Elena Moreno praised his civil rights work and leadership after Hurricane Katrina. And Kanye West and Travis Scott are reportedly working on a joint album. Mobb Deep's Havoc told Complex he contributed a track, but shared few details in case the project doesn't drop. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hi, I'm Angie. Did you know a billboard can save a baby's life? It's true. You can make a difference by helping us spread the pro-life message to reach those who are struggling with an unplanned pregnancy. Please make a gift today. Visit prolifeacrossамerica.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA is back in action tonight after the All-Star break. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Lakers return to the court Friday night against the Clippers at Crypto.com. Interesting point of the season for the Clippers. A lot of eyes will be on them to see if they can remain a playoff contender after their 6-21 start. The Clippers were 3-1 going into the break and are 20-7 since December 18th. They're tied with Portland for 9th place in the Western Conference. The top 10 teams qualify for the playoffs. A lot of eyes will also be on Clippers star Kawhi Leonard. Can he stay healthy over the remaining 28 games in the regular season? In the last 7 games before the break, Kawhi was averaging 28.8 points. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked number 2 in the country, is going for their 20th straight win tonight. UCLA is at home against Washington. The Bruins are 25-1, 15-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580, Come go with us.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is my guest. She is an author, she's a professor, and she is a sex therapist and psychologist. And so when we talk about getting beyond blaming ourselves or blaming the victim, you know, why was she there? Why didn't she tell? Or feeling shame and guilt within ourselves for things that have happened, which I feel like is really, I can speak for myself, being triggered by these endless Epstein stories. How do we navigate that? What's the best way to navigate that?
I think we need to decide as a community that we are not going to proceed as we have. That is assuming all the trash that comes in our community is just okay. You know, just let our kids listen to it. We need to have we need to have a task force on monitoring the media, the information in the media about Black people, people of color, marginalized populations, because not everybody has to be of color to be stereotyped. What we're getting now is a stereotype of how women are supposed to behave, how men are supposed to behave. Black marriages don't last. I've been married 60 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Which is amazing since you're only 30.
That's right. And but the issue is there's lots of folks out there that you would never have an opportunity to meet. But they're not a part of the stereotype. That people are pushing this narrative that we're irresponsible, ignorant, criminal, right? Promiscuous. You can go back 400 years and see the same information regurgitated over and over and over again. And it's still happening. Women should stop wearing and allowing their children to wear clothes that are made out of something that stretches over a body part. They could have something that was loose. They could have something that actually just was there, and it doesn't have to define your behind or your breasts or your hips. You look like a sexual organ if you walk around like that, and we've been allowing women allow it, and our kids do it.
It's so interesting to hear you say that, Dr. Wyatt, because you're very outspoken about the sex as a human need, that we have a right and probably a duty maybe to deal with our own sexual needs, and yet you don't want us to wear tight clothing. Shouldn't it be like, if that's your right, if you want to walk around in tight clothing, do it?
If it's a right, why does everybody do it? I mean, it's like a requirement. If someone's going to go out with you, are they going to look at you if you just have regular clothes on that aren't tight and defining everything? Do you have to look like a sexual object to be liked today? And I say no. If somebody likes me for sex, I'm not interested. I have a brain, I have personality, I have skills, I love hobbies, I love to do stuff. Connect with me as a human being, an interesting human being. Those are the people that I'm interested in. And I'm saying this because when you talk to people in therapy, that's what they say. It's not just me. I want someone who's interested in me. I want someone who'll go bike riding with me on Sunday morning, you know. I want someone who knows how to cook and actually would take a class with me. Get out of the stereotype.
When you said during News, Traffic, and Sports that you're not 100% sure there were no Black women on Epstein's island. And when you said that, it made me remember that apparently he was obsessed with Rihanna because he's talking about her, and he bought tickets to her show. Not that she was on the island, but he was obsessed with her. So maybe there were Black women involved.
I think, well, we all know that passing for one particular group or another is something that's in our repertoire. If he looked at somebody who was fair-skinned with straight hair, what did he think? You know, that's not a part of the stereotype, so he thought they were white. I don't think we can excuse ourselves from anybody else's trauma. I think we have to examine it. What a part of our history was very much a part of what's been going on in Epstein. First of all, we buy things from stores. We get gasoline. We get fast food from some of the people who have perpetrated sex with children. Would you really want to eat something and support them if you know that they have been involved in something with children, at some point we have to draw the line and say, no, I'm not eating it. And I'm not going to mention the names, but there are food restaurants, fast food entities.
But I will. I'm going to get a list since you said that.
I'm not shopping there.
I'm going to get me an Epstein boycott list.
Right. Not shopping there. Not going to pretend like that's okay. Our children deserve to have a normal childhood, and that does not involve being victimized and assaulted and made to be fearful and traumatized. That's not a part of our reality. It may have been part of our history, but that wasn't all that we have the capacity to experience. And I think we should fight for that. Or else we're going to be pigeonholed again by hundreds of years of more oppression. If any authority chooses to dog President Obama and Mrs. Obama during Black History Month, that says something. That says, I want you all to just think of the horrible things that I'm going to portray for you to keep in your mind. Think about that. Not the people who overcame, not the people who very quietly went about their business, saving their money and buying a home and educating their kids, not being in debt. Not that vision. No, I want you to think about my little mean and evil portrayal of some of the people that we normally will look up to and still do. But still, I want you to think about that. That's really controlling your mind.
And 2 weeks later has a Black History Month celebration at the White House with a bunch of Black people chanting 4 more years.
Yeah.
Oh, my
and they
goodness.
paid them at that. Oh, boy.
No doubt. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about accountability. And when we speak of a situation like what I call the Epstein triggers, what role does accountability play? Today, former Prince Andrew, I call him Prince Pedo, was arrested, and we'll see what charges they bring. But the family of Virginia Giuffre, one of the victims of Epstein, thanked the British police and said their hearts felt a tiny bit lighter, even though she died supposedly from suicide.
Oh, so they say.
So they say. What role, from a psychological standpoint, what role does that accountability have for healing?
Well, it means a tremendous amount, especially since nobody in the United States has taken that step. You see the difference.
Right.
Yeah. Now, it's true that the royal family is not so royal, but they never were. That's the seat of white supremacy. Come on.
Hello.
And we see little snippets of how wonderful the royal family is. They're just people with problems. Here's a family with a problem. How are they going to handle it? If you can't even own the fact that that's somebody's brother who's alive and who runs a country and who once ran quite a bit of the world, that's sad commentary. You can't divorce that. That's his brother. That's the king's brother who's been now arrested. Now, that's a real step down for them to have to admit it. Look what it took to get. How many years did it take?
Yeah.
I just think we owe the survivors so much more. What about all those other women and what they've been through? And do we understand the sacrifices they've had to make to stand up in Congress and raise their hand and say, how many of you had an opportunity to speak to the Department of Justice about your experience? None of them? Oh, that's sad.
Exactly.
Where is
zero.
our justice in this country? Why isn't somebody apologizing for the way that this has been overlooked? Who needs to blame another administration? They're the presidents now. They're the Department of Justice. We don't want to be grown-ups, but we expect other people to treat us like that. If we want to be so powerful, why don't we act like it?
Yeah, when I saw Pam Bondi refuse to look at the victims and belittling them and defending the president in that context, what I thought of is, I bet you she is a victim.
She may be. She's surely a victim now. If she can't stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, that's not what my job entails, and I'm not that type of lady.
Right. I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but the first thing I thought was, maybe, maybe she was part of that.
Who knows? Who knows? When you see somebody sell their soul, you do have to wonder how low have they had to go to think that they are at that low level and will do almost anything, for what? Money, for status? I don't know. But if you have to get to that, you've lost who you are. You are lost, and you need help.
Yeah. America might need help. Is there such a thing as collective trauma?
Absolutely. Generational trauma and collective trauma. Our country has lived under a specter of trauma, but we as a people, marginalized people, women, men, if you don't really want to see us as a whole group, have generational trauma. As I said, 4 generations out. Of course, our parents were traumatized. I was watching my parents when we finally insisted. I don't know if I told you this story about going to the bathroom. My parents every summer were teachers at Centennial and Jordan High. Bless their hearts. And they had the summers off, so we'd go traveling. They insisted that we see everything because we are people of the world. We also saw Europe. It was amazing. But anyway, we would travel in the car. We could not eat in any restaurants or we couldn't sleep in any hotels. I remember the hotels that my parents were rejected from, and I won't stay in them today. I'm done with them. It's just not going to happen because people like to forget and think, oh, that was long ago. If I can remember, I know a whole lot of other people remember the things that were done to them. Are you standing up for that? What are we doing about that fact? There are some groups, like Jews, who won't let you forget, I don't care how long ago it was, what happened to them. Why aren't we more righteously indignatious about the fact that it's not been 100 years since we were able to stay in some of these hotels and eat in all these restaurants? And do they really treat us the same? Sometimes we're not treated the same, and we're paying the same money, and I let them know. I'm not going to take that. Either you treat me like so-and-so, I was here before them, or I'm out of here. And I'll write about it and call and make sure that you have a consequence if you don't accept it. Racism still is thriving in America. We see it every day. We have to live it, but we don't want to stand up and fight it. And believe me, how many times did poor Martin Luther King have to go to jail to make that statement for us? That we had to be able to accept that if we're accountable for speaking out, okay, we're accountable. But it matters. And he modeled. This is what we need to be hearing during Black History Month, not some negativity and crazy talk that somebody wants to feed us. We need to remember why all those folks died. Why did Jesse Jackson die? How did he sacrifice? I met him, and I know he gave his heart and soul to helping Black people, men and women. Yeah. What are we doing to lift him up?
Yeah, I talked with Reverend Jackson many times over the years, and was a kind and generous and brilliant, very underrated his intellect, kind, generous, and brilliant man. Good points all. We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Gail Wyatt. And when I'm hearing you say that, I'm also reflecting on where we started, which was talking about accountability, because you're still holding people accountable for the transgressions they did to you and your family as a child. And I think that's what these women are trying to do with Epstein files. And, I nothing to do with Prince pedo getting arrested, but I'm celebrating today because to me, the very rich, the very powerful, the ones who have all of the cards, who preyed upon the low income, the children, the marginalized, for them to see justice, I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, old, young, royal, or otherwise. I love to see them held to account.
I do too. But just think, Dominique, this is still going on. This is just one person's nest of evil. Just think, it's still going on today.
In other words, he's not the only Jeffrey Epstein.
No, absolutely not.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in Black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned, homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is here. Man, the imaginative conversation that happens between the conversation. Dr. Gail Wyatt is an author. She is a professor at UCLA. She's also a psychologist and a sex therapist. And I asked her to come in this morning to talk about what I call the Epstein triggers. I feel like there is a collective trauma that's happening. You outlined enslavement and what's happening in the White House, what's happening with the demise of our country. All these things add to it. But this particular situation with this endless trove of 3 million files released, 3 million not released, it feels like a collective trauma. How does one handle collective trauma?
Well, you take it a little bit at a time. I mean, it's overwhelming to think that this has been someplace and nobody paid any attention to it until what? But the timing has to be right to take on something. This is going to change America. It should change the world because we overlook violence. So our country in particular, since we are so wed to the Second Amendment, or some people are, and guns, knowing that guns are already, such a daily diet of guns have contributed to the escalation of violence in this country, which we refuse to do anything about because we keep electing people who keep them, right to the forefront of our culture. So given that this is where we are, we have then got to pay attention to violence in our lives, in what we learn, how we conduct ourselves. Our safety is compromised. I don't think many people really feel safe almost at any time anymore.
So this sexual assault against women, against children, you put that obviously in the violence category.
Absolutely.
You said something to me during News, Traffic, and Sports about traumatic growth. What does that mean?
Well, I talk a lot about the harm that's been done to people who, like African Americans, marginalized people, poor people, people who don't have the power to prevent things from happening. Actually, they have to go along with things in order to survive. That I talk a lot about it because I think people don't understand how damaging it is to live with a history like that. So you've got to be aware of it. Where has it really impacted you as a person is part of what I think therapy should be. Because people have trouble getting into relationships, finding people, staying in relationships, and they wonder why. And usually when we take that apart, we find they've been traumatized and they never really healed from it. They've never really seen, did I change any from that experience? Is there anything that comes out of it? Well, sometimes there is. Sometimes you find yourself in all the ashes of what's going on and all the hurt and the pain of what somebody has said or done to you, and you realize, I made it. Somehow I got myself out of that, or I stopped it from happening, or I told that person, even when I knew they were going to hurt me some more, I stood up for myself. Well, that you have to celebrate that. There's a little core of you that maybe you haven't nurtured enough. And that's what traumatic growth is. Out of the wreckage, out of the ashes comes the real you. And that says, you can throw it at me and it'll knock me over for sure and I'll cry, but I will get up. I will rise. And Maya Angelou talked about it, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Still I rise. Yes. How in the world could we be sitting here all dolled up, well, trying to be, and not know that our ancestors were dolled up too, as much as they could, every day? Because if they weren't, they'd get fired.
Yeah. It's so well said, Dr. Gail Wyatt. We always talk about the blessings and the lessons.
Yes.
And you framed it as traumatic growth. How are we getting better from our fight back?
Yes.
From the eye of the tiger.
Yes.
Dr. Gail Wyatt, I'm trying to influence her like Miles influenced me to get on TikTok because people love her clips so much. But Dr. Gail Wyatt, tell us how to find your work.
Well, you can always read. I believe in reading, and reading before you go to sleep at night is a great way to go to sleep. Reading Stolen Women. I wrote that in 1997, Dominique.
I read it in 1997, and it changed my life. It really did.
And it had that impact. If people had read that book, then we wouldn't have gone through what we just did with literally dogging some of the beautiful work that came out about 1619 and all of the ways in which African descendants were treated in Africa and then finally here. We would have known that because I went through meticulously our history. For women, mind you, I was female-oriented. That is a female-oriented book, female and family, I would say, and started with what we were like generally in Africa, what kind of values we had, modesty, which is not even discussed today. That's why I love to talk about how you should know your body, but you don't have to show it.
Know it, but don't show it. That's our part 2. That's our part 2 show. Dr. Gail Wyatt, thank you so much. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got an incredible show for you on tap on this Think Tank Thursday. Like my mom, the late and great poet laureate of San Francisco, Diane DePrima, used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, calling him a friend, mentor, and role model.
As an organizer, and at the time in which I was campaigning, I could always count on him for advice, prayers, and words of encouragement.
Johnson told the city council the best way to honor Jackson's legacy is by organizing and investing in Chicago's communities. Funeral arrangements are pending for Dr. Norman Francis, the longtime Xavier University president who died Wednesday at 94. Francis led the nation's only historically black Catholic university for nearly 50 years, expanding its role in medical education. New Orleans Mayor Elena Moreno praised his civil rights work and leadership after Hurricane Katrina. And Kanye West and Travis Scott are reportedly working on a joint album. Mobb Deep's Havoc told Complex he contributed a track, but shared few details in case the project doesn't drop. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hi, I'm Angie. Did you know a billboard can save a baby's life? It's true. You can make a difference by helping us spread the pro-life message to reach those who are struggling with an unplanned pregnancy. Please make a gift today. Visit prolifeacrossamerica.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA is back in action tonight after the All-Star break. The Clippers are at home tonight against Denver. The Lakers return to the court Friday night against the Clippers at Crypto.com. Interesting point of the season for the Clippers. A lot of eyes will be on them to see if they can remain a playoff contender after their 6-21